What
As we
is
say
up?
hello from the virtual circuit of the Americas, hello for the UIS Send It Motors Truck Series here, Season 7. Here at, once again, the virtual circuit of Americas, hello. My name is Christian Delgado, your lead commentator for tonight's race, and up here pushing the buttons and going to join me up here in the booth. Riley Maxwell up here in the HPTV booth, but Riley, obviously, Circuit of the Americas, uh, the shorter version that we've seen these last couple of seasons here in the real NASCAR calendar. It's going to be exciting. Our first road course of the season.
Absolutely, man. Hey, talk about that headset delay too. I gotta apologize for that. When I'm out here on the track reporting and pushing the buttons, sometimes the delay on this headset is crazy. But anyway, this track is one of the most technical, tricky road courses I've ever seen NASCAR come to, and it definitely takes a different type of focus and drive from these guys to be able to accomplish a fast lap around this place.
Yeah, definitely. It's. I would feel like it's the most technical track that we have on the schedule now, especially at least on the 2026 NASCAR schedule. Obviously, we went to the Chicago Street Course, which I felt like was a little bit more technical, just because of you can't really make a mistake at those street courses. Obviously, we go to San Diego with the Ornado Air Base or whatever naval base, and that's gonna be interesting to see how technical it's gonna be there. But our more generic road courses, I feel like this is by far the most disciplined you have to be at a road course, right? I mean, it's an F1 track. That's all I really have to say. We go to Watkins Glen where you can really push the car. Same thing with Sonoma, and obviously the Charlotte Roval when we used to go there as well. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting as we have cars on track here for qualifying. 13 minutes left in qualifying. I'm not sure if they can use all that, but something a little bit different here for the Truck Series. Group qualifying here, as you see, it looks like that 97 and the 60 Carmela Cabero, YD Thompson. I'm trying to go out there and at least start their out lap here at Coda.
Absolutely, and YD Thompson's subbing today in this 97 truck. This truck is normally driven by Jacob S. Bryant, who is not able to make the race today, but Wyatt Thompson stepping in. And that's a pretty good sub to have for your truck team. Wyatt Thompson, obviously a very good racer and has had some success on road courses before. And Carmelo, I mean, he's had a really good kickoff to the truck season. Showed a lot of strong performance in Daytona, so a couple good drivers out here on their out laps so far.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see who can just hit their marks here at Coda. You see your race weather here on the bottom left side of your screen for Coda. Obviously, the shorter version of Coda. We're not using that long backstretch that we saw the first 2 seasons here in the
Absolutely.
NASCAR schedule. But the little shorter version will cut that long back straightaway in half here. But you see your race weather there, 79 degrees. Pretty windy out here in Texas here. 13, almost 12 mile an hour is coming out of the east. A little bit partly cloudy, but really the wind's going to be the biggest thing we're going to talk about with that weather throughout the race.
Absolutely, and 12 miles an hour is no joke. As you see Chase George a little loose in qualifying, but now up to 13 miles an hour. This one's going to be shifting a lot today, and that can really affect you as you come around to different parts of the track, and especially if we're seeing big changes in that wind later on. You're going to see these trucks start to do things a little differently than they did in the early parts of the race. So you're really curious to see how that changes throughout the race.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be interested to see as well, as you see even the wind pick up there as we were looking at it, up to 14 degrees, right? And I feel like, the road course is probably the most unique time to talk about the wind, right? Because usually on the ovals, you're going to get it maybe down the back stretch, or you're going to get a push down the back and a headwind down the front, or vice versa. Or occasionally you'll get into the corners where you have to set up for that. But, you're with the road course, there's not really north, south, east, and west, right? You're going all kinds of different directions, and it can really make these trucks a lot more harder to drive here as you go through the corners, especially with these trucks, right? Obviously, they're not the hardest to drive on the road, but they're definitely not the easiest on the NASCAR, series compared to like the Cup cars.
Absolutely, and these trucks definitely just I would say in my experience they are easier or harder depending on the track you're at. There's some tracks where I feel like getting in a truck is kind of like getting in a go-kart, and Coda is not one of those places. They're definitely wheeling these trucks, and as you see Chase George, he's been loose for his entire lap this last lap, and these trucks are taking a lot of wheel input and a lot of just keeping that truck in control to get around these turns here.
No, I definitely agree. It the way that these trucks vary from track to track, right? And I feel like the place where the trucks do not handle the best are these tracks that have these really hard braking zones, and you really have to get the truck planted and try to get more time out of it. You see that, that uphill braking zone that we have to go through there, up in turn 1, the hard braking zone down into 6, where we cut that big dog leg, that big front stretch in half, right? It's really easy, to wheel hop in these trucks and then get the car underway versus a track like Sonoma where it's a lot more flowy and it's a lot easier to push, or something like Watkins Glen where some people call that like a super speedway for road courses, right? Coda, it's so much more technical, so it takes so much more finesse to get around here and with a quick pace.
Absolutely, and I mean the way that this track is set up with those hard braking zones really creates some pretty tense moments, especially with the race starts. And that's the thing that I'm, I guess, most worried about when it comes to this field of drivers in these trucks, is that hard braking zone on that first lap. When they all dive into that turn 1, that is an absolute chaos corner right there, and I guess we'll see if they're able to make it through cleanly.
Obviously, something to talk about is always that turn 1 here at these road courses. You think about Watkins Glen, but you also have to think about here. We've seen it in the Cup Series where almost every restart we have here, someone gets knocked around. We've seen, Ross Chastain go around. We saw Connors Village get knocked around a whole bunch this season with a fast car and had to drive his way through the field. Obviously, I feel like the people towards the front have a little bit more to lose than they do to gain, right? I mean, we saw Connors Village. He qualified inside the top 10 for their Cup Series, for his first Cup Series start here. Actually, I think it's technically his second Cup Series start here from Coda. Qualified inside the top 10, got knocked around on the very first lap, very first corner, had to drive his way through the field. We might see that with some of our, if you want to call it, road course ringers here in the Truck Series tonight.
Absolutely. And, speaking of road course ringers, there's a lot of really competitive drivers in this field tonight, some that we'll highlight in a second. But one that is a bit surprising to me, and he's coming out of pits right now, is Chase S. Smith. Currently a lot of qualifying left, about 8 minutes, but Chase S. Smith currently second, and now third after Hector jumps to the top of the board, but currently third in qualifying. This is a Final Four driver from last year's points. And he showed a lot of promise. He kind of popped out when a lot of people didn't expect. You and I called him the underdog going into the championship race. And road courses was something I really hadn't had a lot of personal experience when it comes to him. I hadn't seen him race these, but he's showing some incredible promise so far in these first qualifying laps.
Yeah, showing a good lap there in that number 18 truck, 140.89. But, he's shown a lot of pace through every race we've shown here. Obviously, Daytona's kind of, the caveat, right? I mean, anything can happen at Daytona, and you can get caught up in nonsense. And we saw a lot of cautions in that first week here for season 7. But, for week 2, we came here and he was really quick. And now you look at here, really solid lap here out of that 18, sitting P3 right now in qualifying.
Absolutely. And another driver that we have to talk about when you talk about road course winners is Hector Golazo. This guy has a lot of different racing backgrounds and not the majority of it on oval. He came from GT3. He's always been a serious contender when it comes to road courses in UIS. He sits top of the board and nearly 5/10 faster than second right now in that 45 truck.
Yeah, Hector's going to be a force to be to be reckoned with tonight here at Coda. Like you kind of put it there on the tee, Riley. I mean, he's a road course guy, right? I mean, he's a part of my race team that we do and do the endurance stuff with. And there's a reason why we grabbed him, is because he is super, super good at these road courses, and this is what he does. But for the majority, obviously, he does do some oval stuff. We've seen him, on the network, run some ovals. Obviously, hasn't had the most success, but we know that anytime we see that Colazo machine out on these road courses, he's going to be probably a top 3 driver every time we come to one of these road courses.
Absolutely. And one thing that we were talking about before the stream tonight, he's just so good at his wheel control, the way that he can wheel this truck. We're talking about these trucks, especially on this course, take a lot of keeping it in control. It takes a lot of counter steering. And that's something that Hector does really, really well, is he keeps that truck in control. He keeps his the truck pointing straight, if you will. He doesn't let it get too sideways. And he's very fast and responsive when it comes to that counter steering, which makes him really dangerous on road courses like these.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you get the most out of the truck, is just feeling what the truck wants it to do. And if it's sliding, if it's moving around, especially on the exits here, being able to catch the truck and put it where it needs to be to get, the optimal lap time. That's exactly what you want. And Hector's just done a really good job out there. You see, actually overshoot that corner there, going into that hard left-hander. But obviously, already sitting on the pole here, almost half a second, a little over half a second faster than that 97 of Whitey Thompson.
Yeah, and that's a considerable gap on a road course, especially when you stretch that out over the 30 laps we're going to have here tonight. But that is assuming that we go caution-free. In a place like Coda, I think there's bound to be some cautions, especially if we don't make it through turn 1 on the first few laps. But a lot of decent drivers here in the field tonight. Not a whole bunch of trucks. I know there's some people who, they decided they didn't want to risk banging up a truck here at the road course. But still a good field tonight and a lot of opportunity for some of these drivers if they can stay consistent.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The road courses definitely aren't the most popular when we go to these NASCAR style leagues, but it's fun to see, some of these guys who come out and know how to, wrangle these trucks around here on these road courses. And obviously we already talked about Hector, but some of these other drivers, you see Max Ford back there in P4. Christian Zarate actually goes second on the board there in that 53 machine. So a good lap for Christian to get himself inside the podium here in the last 5 minutes of qualifying.
A really good lap for Christian there. And that's another driver who he's had some success in all different places and all different series, and he's a good driver all around. And apparently, he's definitely got this truck under control if he can get within those 3.5 tenths of Hector right there.
I mean, getting anywhere within Hector is something you is going to be proud of. But
top of the board.
Yeah, Trevino.
139, the first of these truck drivers to break into the 39s. He's going to be 3 tenths faster than Hector now. And an incredible lap from Zachary Trevino. An absolutely insane lap to top Hector there and to get into the 39s. I mean, this 12 truck is looking extremely fast.
Yeah, I mean, Zachary's also one of those road course ringers we see here in the UIS Truck Series. Really, anywhere he goes, he's one of those guys, once again, that you have to look out for. One of the other guys who spends a lot of time on the road stuff, does the GT3s, does the hypercar stuff, does a lot of IMSA. And he's going to be one of those guys who are going to battle with Hector probably for this race win if they can, keep these trucks clean throughout the race. And if they can, get it straight into turn 1 here on this first lap. But, yeah, Zachary, we know that he's going to be quick. We know Hector's going to be quick, and then the rest of them is, I wouldn't say is an unknown, but they just really haven't shown to be one of those guys, right? They're just kind of, setting good laps right now.
Absolutely. There's still some decent competitiveness. The split in the top 6 are still all within a second. So, over 30 laps, yes, that can really spread a field out, but in the grand scheme of things, the top 6 being a second off is not too horribly bad. After that, we kind of just drift off into the 142s and 143s. But a lot of really good drivers. Now, I have to ask you, Christian, as we're winding down this qualified time, who is your pick to win this Coda truck race tonight?
I mean, I might be a little biased. He's one of my, drivers, but I'm going to have to pick that 45 at Colazo there. I mean, or the 20, technically. It says the 20 on the timing scoring, 45 on the truck, but I got to pick Hector. He's shown time and time again, if he can keep that truck clean, he can be competitive. Obviously, he's not the fastest in qualifying right now. He's got some competition, but I got to go with that Colazo machine.
Absolutely, and it's not a bad pick at all. I mean, he's showing a lot of speed, obviously, and it's Hector. He's going to be a guy that dominates these road courses. And I promise I'm not saying this because he was top of the board. I was looking at him earlier in practice because this Ram truck just already looks so good as it is, and I know he's a fast driver that can get it done. But my pick is going to be Zachary Trevino. I think these two are going to have a hell of a battle. I think they're going to be running, together or pushing each other hard the whole race, but I think that Zachary Trevino is going to be the truck out on top of that battle.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We know these guys, they race around each other a lot here on this sim. We know they're going to race each other hard, but we also know they're probably going to try to race each other clean. I mean, they have a ton of respect for each other, the 12 and this 20. And right now, top of the boards there, they're going to, if this all stays how it's supposed to be, they're starting front row here from Coda.
Absolutely. And they'll be battling hard into turn 1 if it all stays the same. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I mean, they are. I mean, I feel like getting the track position early here and setting the tone for the race is going to be huge, and it's going to be about who can get through turn one on the initial start here, who can, have the better, braking zone down there in the turn one. And I feel like if Zachary can keep the pull here, he's going to have a little bit of advantage. He'll have the bottom going into turn one. Hector's going to have to fight a little bit harder on that top side to try to, match this braking zone from this 12 machine on the initial start.
Absolutely. But another driver that's also looking really good is Max Ford. I think that any of these drivers kind of in this top, I'll say 6, there could be potential upsets here if we get some damage on a truck, or pit cycle's weird, or a late race caution shakes up the field. But you never know what can happen. But I definitely think there could be some disruptors in this first little group here.
I definitely agree. And someone I'm looking at to me be an upset is that 97 at Thompson. Obviously, Riley, a lot more about, Riley, I mean, about Wyatt's, talent. Obviously, races for you and some other series. But he can get it done here at these road courses. One, some other races at the road style stuff. And he sits right now at P5. I mean, still solidly up front here in qualifying.
Absolutely. I mean, Wyatt is just an incredible driver. I don't think there's anything that you can point him at that he wouldn't be able to go and get done, or finish top 5. That's what I've always said about him is you can count on Wyatt to get you a top 5, and that doesn't mean he can't win. Obviously, we've seen him win. We've seen him win in other series. We've even seen him win in other leagues and have incredible success. But he's just that good of a driver. I don't think you could put him in a combination where he's not going to push every ounce of that vehicle and at least be in the conversation of the top 5. And he drives for me in the UIS Cup Series, and he does an absolutely incredible job in that Cup car. He's really gotten the hang of that Cup car over the last, I would say, 6 months or so, and we've had a couple rough starts to the season here with Daytona, Michigan, and no fault of our own. I won't elaborate any more on that, but no fault of our own. But White's he's gonna find that clean air, and when he does, he's gonna be someone that's hard to beat.
I definitely agree. I mean, we've seen him have a lot of success on Thursdays here on the network and the Prestige Cup Series. He has, I believe, 6 wins on the season right now. Should be leading the points going into the championship round there this coming Thursday there as we head into the Final Four. As he will try to race for a championship there on Thursdays in the PRS Cup Series. So obviously he's got a lot on his plate right now, but gonna have to try to get it done in this part-time start here in that 97 truck.
Absolutely, and the clock finally starts to wind down. All the trucks are kind of clearing the track, and we're about to get into your grid. And it looks like Hector, while we were chatting, went out and set a faster lap. A 1:39.653 is the top of the board, putting another 3 tenths on Zachary Trevino. And I mean, Hector, he rises to the occasion. I don't know what more I can say.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Riley. And it just seems like anytime you're like, okay, we got him, he comes out and sets a faster lap time every time. Every time I've seen him in the car, he does this. He just rises up the occasion, just like you said, Riley. And, I thought, no one was going to get up there and beat that number 12 machine of Trevino. But you see now the 20, he'll be top of the board here in qualifying.
Absolutely. And everybody else is going to be chasing the wind of those 2 trucks, unless Wyatt Thompson or Max Ford or maybe a couple of the other guys have anything to say about it. But we are going to get started as these trucks start to line up for grid here at COTA NASCAR West. Christian, are you ready to kick this grid off?
Well, let's do it, man.
Absolutely. Row 1, ladies and gentlemen. Hector Collazo and Zachary Trevino, the guys we've been talking about all night. This is going to be an intense first row as we head into turn 1. Christian, you want to grab this next one?
Yeah, Christian Durati in that number 53. Good lap for him alongside Max Ford in that number 11 machine.
Absolutely. As we move farther on back, some other guys that we've been talking about tonight, Wyatt D. Thompson and Nicholas Rode. Nicholas Rode is someone that popped into that top 6 right at the end of the qualifying, the open qualifying there. So I think we could see a lot more out of this 81 truck perhaps as he gets these laps underneath him.
You see Chase Smith in that 18 machine. Really good lap for him. Really solid lap. Kind of a sleeper pick once again there at that 18 machine. Carmelo Echeverra on that 60 Ram machine back there in P8.
Absolutely. Moving on back, Trenton Wilkin, another really good driver in this truck series. Seen a lot of success in other leagues. as well as the Cup car and the O'Reilly's car, and Aaron D. Comnot in the number 91 machine.
You see back there in P11, Noah Nicholson back there in the 49. Gavin Smith, good lap for him back there in P12.
And Chase George, the one and only. We rooted for him at Daytona. I don't know if you guys rooted for him at Michigan, but we've been rooting for Chase George to get his first win around here. Could he come from the back in that number 6 Toyota machine and make something happen here? And the number 10 of Patricia Casado also on row 7.
You see Henry Caloff in that Fort Worth screen printing machine back there in the 63. Derek Turner in the 7 back there rounding out row 8.
And rounding out the field as we start to get to the back of this thing, Kai Collymore in the number 39 truck, an incredible super speedway driver, and the 07 of Joseph Enright.
You see Brady Schreckengast back there in the 16 alongside Aiden Keir at that 38 machine, rounding out your top 20.
Moving on back as we have a couple to wrap up the field. Brian Van Epps in row 11 alongside Cody Banta.
Looks like Travis Prather going to be back there in P23. P24 looks like we'll go to Calvin Harvey, and Nolan Kelly back there in P26 will round out your field for tonight's race.
Interesting design on that number 98 truck. Lots of color going on. And we already have some trucks having some issues under caution, it seems. Maybe some EOLs, perhaps. I'm not too sure what penalties are being handed out currently.
Yeah, it looks like Noah Nicholson, Patricia Casado, Ryan Van Epps back there getting an EOL. Going to have to start tailing the longest line here for this 30-lap feature here from COTA. So, yeah, maybe some penalties from last week going to have to be handed out here early this week.
That's sometimes what happens. You get into some problems the week before, and you got to pay for it at the next race. But still going to be the front row as we expected. Nothing changing there. The 45 truck, Hector Palazzo, and the 12 of Zachary Trevino. And we're going to have 2 laps to green, so it looks like we're going to have another lap to green as these trucks all get sorted out, come around, fall into their positions and their lines, and make sure they all go where they're supposed to go.
It looks like Hector wants to lead every lap of the race. Obviously, these last couple of weeks, I think the pace truck led the most laps. So Hector trying to lead every lap here. Going to have to give up that spot there without getting a penalty. Have to sit behind that virtual iRacing pace truck. But looks like everybody gets stacked up single file, two by two. My apologies. They'll hit the start-finish line, and lights should be off on the pace truck. We'll be going green next time by.
Absolutely, and just as you said, the lights come off, so we will be going green next time by with no issues. But Christian Zarate already down pit road for damage. Just want to throw that out there. That number 53 truck already sustained damage during the pace lap, and he'll come down, get that fixed. So Christian Zarate, a guy who qualified 3rd, is going to be starting at the back of the field this season.
It's also given a black flag. I don't know if that's a meatball or if that was an admin given black flag, but has a black flag nonetheless. But so I don't really blame him for wanting to come down, get some damage fixed, and try to get this thing race ready here. Looks like you got that damage buffed out there. Obviously no fast repair, so any damage we get tonight, they're gonna have to sit down and take it the hard way. No backup cars no backup trucks tonight here from COTA.
Absolutely, and looking through this field, there's a lot of Toyota representation in these back lines. We got 97 of Wyatt Thompson, Max Ford, Nicholas Roden, Chase S. Smith, all in Toyotas, but then behind them, Dodges side by side, obviously joined by the Ram out front of Zachary Trevino. So Toyotas and Rams kind of dominating this these front few trucks. Besides Hector obviously holding it down for Chevy.
And Team Chevrolet on top here in that number 45 watermelon machine. As you see him once again getting out, gonna have to let everybody catch back up. But yeah, like Hector, almost the lone Chevy here. It looks like in the top 8, so he's got a whole swarm of non-manufactured teammates there. He's gonna have to try to hold back.
Absolutely, and I think Hector's just saying, "Hey, this is what the gap's gonna be like for the rest of the race."
Oh, maybe,
just
yeah.
Get used to the back of that 45 machine.
Already starting the mind games early here from COTA.
It's a good-looking 45 truck for sure. That watermelon scheme. The pace truck's not having it. He's going to jump back out front. But a decent amount of trucks. A bigger field than I expected for this road course, Christian. I'm not going to lie to you. But still a solid field nonetheless.
Yeah, 25 truck strong here from Coda, and yeah, I definitely agree. I expected maybe, 15 to 20, maybe. Definitely not 25. That's really cool to see that. Even though Coda is a hard track and a lot of people aren't, particularly road course guys, it's cool to see everybody continue to show up. Remember, I mean, if these guys who want the race for a championship, they have to show up to every race for the most part, and have a decent finish, or at least get a finish at the very least, because a goose egg is not what you want here in the points.
Absolutely. And from someone who has already had two pretty rough starts of the season so far, I can be the first to say this is when you start getting a few rounds in the season, that's when you really want to start getting your stuff together. As the pace truck pulls off pit road, and Christian, I'm going to allow you to send them off for lap 1 of Coda.
See that virtual pace truck coming down pit road, going back into the restart zone. You'll see 25 trucks, 30 laps here from Coda. So be ready to go green flag racing here. You'll see a Chevy Ram front row. Everybody's double fouled up here as we get ready to hit the green flag. It's green flag in the air here. Hector Collazo leads us here for week number 3.
All these trucks fanning out as they come down the straightaway. They're diving for the corner. A big dive from Trent Wilkin, the 17, moving up from that 5th row. He's trying to get into the top 5 early, but it looks like everybody is going to make it through fairly cleanly, which is a huge shocker to me. All the trucks make it through turn 1 clean. Hector Collazo out front.
Yeah, a really good job by everybody to get, give everybody enough space to get through over there, but you'll see everybody try to get single file through the S's here. So now you see that hard braking zone down there in the turn 6. Hector Collazo leads over the number 12 is Zachary Trevino.
Wyatt Thompson back there in 3rd. He started in a really good position. He was 5th, and with Christian Zarate having to pull down pit road, he dumped up to that 3rd position, and now he has Zachary Trevino and Hector Collazo still within his sights as we get through this first lap.
You saw Trevino jump to the top side, try to, I don't know, maybe force Hector into a mistake there, but Hector was able to keep the race lead here as we still see single file, double file further on back, looks like top 10 further on out. Then double file through the stadium section trying to make up some spots. Absolutely.
A lot of these trucks in the back still scrambling for position. And while these trucks are bunched up early, that is when you want to try to make up those spots and start, get going in the right direction before these leaders just get absolutely checked out.
Exactly. This is the perfect opportunity to make up spots here while everybody's together. Try to take advantage of some people. Maybe, the first lap jitters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take advantage of them making the mistakes here early. Maybe take advantage of the cold tires. You see White D. Thompson a little slow out of the last corner. Not enough to give up the spot, but going to lose some time to those front two.
Absolutely. And he really just slid it in there a little bit too hard. And right as I was about to say that he could really take advantage of being behind these two trucks in front of him, trying to analyze their lines and see what they're doing. That was getting them about a second faster in practice and open qualifying. But that corner is definitely going to hurt him as Zachary Trevino and Hector Collazo start to check out a little bit.
You see the front two already almost a 2-second gap advantage to the rest of the field here. Is Hector just trying to slowly pull away here. He's got the clean air on that Chevy Silverado. But that Ram number 12 machine is going to try to continue to put the pressure on Hector, right? I mean, it just takes one mistake to let that 12 get back into the picture.
Absolutely. Further on through the field, still seeing everybody kind of keeping in line and keep their trucks going straight. Chase George, who started very towards the back, has made his way up into the top 10. You see a lot of wiggles from these trucks back here as some of these other guys try to figure out, how to maintain speed across this course.
Yeah, Chase doing a good job getting himself inside the top 10 up 3 spots, but did get passed by the 13 and Gavin Smith. There goes Chase.
Chase George, commentator's curse. It looks like he's going to keep that truck going, blocking the track a little bit.
I mean, he could merge right now if he wants to. He's going to try to remerge safely back onto the racing surface. Yeah.
That's going to cost him dearly.
I might not want to point the camera at him anymore for the rest of the broadcast. That's his one and done.
Exactly.
Life is too bright.
Yeah.
But further on up, still see some single file. A little bit of a battle further back on here. That's the 18 of Chase Smith, Max Ford, and Nicholas Road. They're kind of in a little bit of a 3-car pack here, racing it out for 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. Nicholas Road still within striking distance on this 18 truck. I thought he was going to look inside there. He's already got some damage on the front of that 81 truck. You see on that passenger side fender, possibly from some contact with the 18 or perhaps another truck earlier on. these three Toyotas still very much within striking distance if they can keep it together. Chase S. Smith, as we said, kind of a sleeper pick. But, man, just showing an incredible pace and speed with a lot of these guys that are a little bit more experienced in this league early on.
Wyatt Thompson overcooked the corner a little bit. He's actually backing up to the rest of these guys. You see that number 11 Machina Max 40 starting to reel in this number 97 machine alongside those three behind him trying to run down the 11. Is now this 3-car pack turns into 4. You see some trucks off here further on back.
Trucks sliding all over the place. A lot of mayhem as we see the 10 sliding deep into the corner. And a lot of trucks just struggling to maintain their control here and their balance like we talked. That's what these top guys do so well, is keep those trucks under control. Kai Collymore off the track. He's going to try to safely rejoin that 39 truck. Such a dominant super speedway racer, really struggling early on this road course.
Yeah, really struggling. Someone I want to highlight right now is this 13 of Gavin Smith, up 3 spots, and already putting pressure on Trent Wilkins in that 17 machine. He's shown to, have a little bit of pace here in this number 13 machine, trying to drive his way up inside maybe the top 5 if he can get around these 2 trucks in front of him.
Absolutely, and he did show some pace earlier in practice. He was on the board. He was making some decent laps, and so this is all about keeping it clean right now. This is all about consistency, especially in the early laps of this race. Just keep your truck going. As you can see, when you have these other drivers slide off, that's opportunity for you to move up some positions.
Well, something we have to talk about, if we can keep it green here, is the tire wear, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, in the Cup car, you can kind of push as hard as you want. These trucks and the O'Reilly machines, you do have to try to keep the tires underneath you. You cannot just push the whole time or the tires will start to show, right? We've already ran 4 laps here at COTA. COTA's one of our longest, road courses we go to on the schedule. So even though we've only ran 4 laps, within I would say the next three laps, you're going to start to see maybe some tire wear come into play, where maybe some drivers were aggressive to try to make them some time, make up some spots. That tire wear is going to start to show here sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. Chase S. Smith looked to the outside of Max Ford for just a second. Wasn't able to hold it out there, though, and is going to get some gap back between them. But these 4 Toyotas right here still absolutely fighting, and Gavin Smith still putting pressure on Trent Wilkin back here. As you see a bunch of trucks in the back, side-by-side battling still. It's Aaron D. Kovnach, Chris Zarate, Henry Kaloff, and Noah Nicholson in this big Chevy group right here.
Yeah, Christian Zarate up almost inside the top 10. Remember, qualified 3rd, had to go to the back. He's already up and almost inside the top 10, trying to run down that 91 machine. Has an uphill battle to try to get back up inside that top 5 if he wants a good finishing position tonight here from COTA.
Absolutely. And, Chris Zarate showing some speed early, showing he can work through the field. A lot of that also, though, coming from trucks sliding off and having issues as this field kind of starts to spread out. A big dive from the 49 truck. He put his nose out there. Chris Zarate goes wide, but they stay in their positions for now.
Yeah, I think that 49 putting that send on there maybe spooked the 53 a little bit. He went wide, trying to give space. Going to lose a little bit of time there for the 53. You see a little bit of a blink out. But going back out further, you see Hector Colazo trying to get away, but that 12 of Zachary Givino has not put the pressure down, right? He's still within a second, still within striking distance of December 45.
Absolutely. And this battle right here, I think, is going to come a lot to... a blink from Hector Colazo certainly won't help, but this battle right here, I think, is going to come a lot down to, who is saving those tires more, like you were talking about. Who is, while they're keeping this amazing control of the truck, is actually making those tires last a little bit longer and keeping things together. So definitely is going to come down. But as of right now, I'll tell you this, Zachary Trevino does have the fastest lap on track with the 1:39.672, just about a tenth faster than Colazo's fastest lap.
Yes, that's definitely going to be interesting. I'm not sure if they give out bonus points for fastest lap. Obviously, we know Trevino's running full time here in the Send It Motors Truck Series versus, Colazo, who's just coming out here doing a kind of a one-off here at the road courses. He's done this a lot here in several different series. So obviously, if there is a bonus point for the fastest lap, I think that 12 needs to prioritize that because, that extra point does count and it will matter for him versus the 45 who is just going to show up and try to just, trophy hunt here.
Absolutely. And, man, look at the gap through the S's they have put on the rest of this field. They have just completely checked out from these other trucks. About an 8-second gap to that number 97 of Wyatt D. Thompson. And speaking of Wyatt D. Thompson, he has started to pull away from Max Ford once again.
Yeah, Wyatt Thompson started to pick up the pace here. I don't know, maybe he was saving or maybe just something clicked now in that 97 machine, but you do see him starting to slowly sneak away from the 11 and Chase Smith and Nicholas Road back there, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Trying to get away here, but you still see that 11. A lot of pressure from that number 18 machine of Chase Smith. It's still not been able to make the pass work, but the 11 still stays out in front there in that P4 position.
Chase looking inside, and he gives the bumper to Max Ford a little bit. They keep it together. Chase gets loose. And that's what's so hard about passing out this track is once you start to push that barrier, that limit, you start to, kind of toe on the edge trying to get past another truck, it's easy to lose control. And all that work you've done for the last 2 laps is now back, just like we see here. Chase S. Smith going to have to go back to work to get to the rear of Max Ford again.
That's the thing, too, is that, when it comes down to it, right, you're pushing pretty much as hard as you can, right, to stay where you are versus, trying to get around someone where you have to just push that truck even just a little bit more, right? I think that's exactly what happened with the 18. He was already, doing what he could to keep pace and then having to just push that little bit extra to try to get around the 11 of Max Ford. It just was just a little bit too much. You saw that 18 get loose under braking, had to, give up a little bit of time to the 11 of Max Ford.
Absolutely, and now as he's approaching the rear of Max Ford again, he also has some pressure from that 81 truck of Nicholas Road. But a position change, a big battle out of the turn 1 here. 17, 60, and Gavin Smith still battling, and Trent Wilkins finally going to get past Carmelo, but can he hold it? Carmelo's staying on the inside of that 17 truck as they come through the S's.
It's going to be interesting to see what Carmelo can do through the S's here, but, Gavin Smith in that 9 still putting the pressure now. He's gotten around. Trent Wilkins has gotten around the 60 now. Will that 13 try to pounce it around Carmelo as well in that number 60 Ram machine?
It's definitely possible. He's really stayed patient, Christian, and just watched these 2 Rams kind of battle it out. And he's stayed within their, he's kept them in their sights. And that's the most important thing is you see him go a little bit wide in that corner, but he's kept them out front of his windshield. And that's where you want to be. If you're trying to pass some guys, you want that moment where you can pounce. You don't want to burn your stuff up just trying to get by them the whole time.
Exactly. And we talked about it with the tire wear, right? It's super easy to overdrive these trucks. When you overdrive the trucks, that's how you burn the tires, right? Locking up the fronts or just overdriving the corner, right? They try to make up time. That's how you burn your tires up, and that's how you put yourself in a vulnerable spot as we count down the laps here. But right now, we still see this little 3-car pack here trying to battle it out further on. As you still see, that 17 still trying to sneak away from the 60. And actually, Gavin Smith right there starting to fall a little bit off these front 2.
Just a little bit. And as we look a little bit further back in the field, Aiden Carritt, the number 38 truck, has pulled off the track. We weren't able to catch exactly what happened. I don't know if he just retired because of the amount of wheel that these trucks take to wheel around. But 1 truck less, down to 24 trucks in the field. Brady Schreckengoss pulling up the rear right now in the 16 truck. He's got 2 trucks in front of him that I'm sure he wants to pass so he can maintain, not last position, of course.
Yeah, obviously he's going to want to get some spots under there, but fortunate for that 38 to have to park it early. Like Riley said, couldn't figure out what happened to want him to.
He's looking real hard on the 45 truck right now. Sorry to cut you off, Christian, but as I cut back to them, they were side by side coming through that technical section of COTA. And as they get wide open, the 12 is going to fall back behind the 45. But some side-by-side racing, Trevino looks to have reeled back in Hector Collazo.
And Collazo going to have to, put a little bit of work in to maybe get away. Or once again, is this one of those things again where it's, Hector using his stuff up a little bit too much and maybe the 12 backing up, just trying to almost match his pace. And now that he has a little bit better tires, starting to try to reel in this 45 to try to make the pass for the lead.
Absolutely. As they race up to the corner, the 12 takes a huge dive. Can he make it stick, though? This is where you see the dives along this track, and it looks like he can for now. The 12 is going to be out front for the first time so far in this race. He's going to best Hector Collazo. as they start to enter the S's, and Hector following him real tight through the S's, not giving up, not sliding backwards just yet. Almost gives 12 the bumper as they hit this next section here. But the deck of Trevino maintaining the lead right now.
And we talked about the respectful racing we would see out of these two leaders here. Have a lot of respect for each other. But here comes Ascend from the 45. Now here comes Hector Colazo on the inside here through the hard braking zone. Now down there is he'll have the not optimal line here down through the stadium section. Trevino a little bit loose though. Going to try to stick it side by side down here.
Absolutely, and then these guys are just going back and forth, crossover after crossover. And then speaking of that, the 45 is going to try to hit another crossover, but he's not going to have the traction out of the corner, which is going to allow the 12 to break away just a little bit as they hit this higher speed section here. And they have that straightaway coming up. The 45 is really going to want to reel him in if he's going to want a shot at turn 1. As you know, that's that place where these guys are going to want to dive.
Yeah, exactly. This is where you want to take advantage here going into turn 1 is, who can get on the brakes better, who can, set up the pass for the win here, probably for the win, yes. Because I feel like if Trevino can hit his marks, it looks like he just has a little bit more out of this truck than Hector does right now. Might be able to start to pull away.
Absolutely. This is a gap that we'll definitely be watching as the 45 has a little bit better turn 1. I mean, these guys just have their points on the track, whether, one hits it a little bit better and then the other one hits it a little bit better. But a lot of racing left to go as we hit about a third of the way through this race, 10 of 30 laps. And lots of lefts and rights to go. We look further back, Wyatt Thompson has pulled away from that other group of Toyotas completely, as you see this view with the S's. And Nicholas Rode has gotten past both Max Ford. And it looks like we've had an issue for another truck because Chase S. Smith has slid back to 13th.
Chase S. Smith had such a good run. Yeah, and obviously back to 13th. That's definitely not where he was running. So probably an off track or something. Maybe some contact from another driver that might have caused him to lose a little bit of time here. But we know a lot of time left in this race can potentially give him some opportunities to potentially get back up to where he probably should deserve to be.
Absolutely. Chase S. Smith started 7th, immediately was on that cusp of the top 5 battling, and now finds himself, unfortunately, in 13th. And now he's got Henry Kaloff to go to work on in the 63 Chevy. We'll be watching as this 18 truck tries to move through the field, as it looks like he'll complete a pass on the 63 truck quite easily, showing some of that speed here. But now Carmelo Echeverra sneaks his way into 6th, and he's putting pressure on Max Ford, who does have front end damage. So potential of some contact between some of those Toyotas that we saw battling earlier on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, what Max can do with the damage, because obviously, I wouldn't say it's not end of the day, but it's also something you probably don't want to have to deal with. So, Max, obviously we know he's talented really anywhere he goes here in the truck series, but it's going to be definitely interesting to see if he can, hold on to the track position with the damage, with the huge hit there. Huge. Carmelo.
Huge spin for Carmelo. He's going to walk away with some huge rear end damage, and that is really not going to be good for that 60 truck at all. Just loses control, and that's going to slide him back behind Chase S. Smith in 12th position as they try to work their way through the S's. He's going to be under threat from Henry Kaloff if he can't keep that truck together. But again, Trenton Wilkin, who sat patiently behind Carmelo, now slides into the top 5, and Gavin Smith is not far behind.
Gavin Smith trying to work his way back through the field. We just mentioned him sliding back outside the top 10, but with some of no, that was Chase Smith, not Gavin Smith. But so Chase, Gavin, with the problems from the guys in front, have worked his way up right outside that top 5. But Trent Wilkins starting to slowly pull away from the 13 machine as you start to see everybody, start to string out just a little bit. Obviously, we still have that little bit of a 3-car pack, 6th on back, but everybody else starting to find their pace, starting to figure out what they need to do to set up the rest of this race.
Absolutely. And it's not over yet. You still have 18 laps left to work hard and fight your way and stay consistent. And as I talked about earlier, I just truly believe that consistency is going to be the key to success for all of these guys. You know, you have your positions now. Everything's really spread out. You got huge gaps. Wyatt Thompson, 10 seconds off the leaders. Nicholas Rode, 4 seconds off him. Trent Wilkin, 7 seconds off. But can they maintain these gaps and stay all connected?
I mean, this is where you're going to start to see where the tires are going to come into play here, and who can, be consistent, right? We're approaching halfway here in tonight's race. I'm not sure how much fuel is going to be, or what when drivers are going to try to come down pit road, if they might just try to split it in half. I think that would make the most sense. But obviously, we're probably approaching potential green flag pit stops. Obviously, it's going to be hard to get a full course caution here with how spread out we are tonight.
Absolutely, and as we see further on back, Gavin Smith, heavy front end damage. He had just gotten by Max Ford and Noah Nicholson. Get some heavy front end damage, and while this field is spread out, we're going to take that opportunity to try to look at this replay here and see what happened with this truck. As he comes through the S's here. You see him. He's gotten past Max Ford. He's gotten past Noah Nicholson. Oh, just clips the tire barrier on the inside. And that's going to be heavy damage to that fender of that 13 truck. And he was running so well, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to do that going. I mean, it's a relatively new corner that a lot of these drivers aren't used to having to take, right? A lot of drivers were, have, in a way, memorized that old layout Dakota that we used to have. And it's so easy to, have to relearn the track that just barely clip that tire barrier right on that left side. And that's just there to prevent, people from cutting the corner there. Fortunately, the 13 just got a little bit too much of it. And that's, like you said, Riley, a lot of left front damage. I'm going to have to try to limp that around until maybe, I feel like there might be an opportunity for him to pit now. We're almost close to halfway if he wants to go down there and see how the damage looks.
Absolutely. As another lead change for the 45 and the 12. The 45 of Collazo jumps back in front of that number 12 Ram truck. And this battle is not over at all.
No, it's going to be a battle probably for the rest of the race. These guys are so evenly matched, right? I thought that maybe the 12 could have got away, but no, Hector is once again, stepped it up just a little bit more. Got around the 12. It's hard to get around, to get back to the 12. Yeah, let's, pass Zachary back there and up there in the 12 machine. But see now Hector leading the race here once again, but starting to catch some lap traffic. You see that number 98 machine right in front.
Absolutely. And as they catch these lapped trucks, that's going to shake things up too. Will these lap trucks get out of the way? Are they going to have to fight a little bit to get around them? Obviously you don't want to lose a lap, but at a road course, it's really kind of inevitable sometimes. And that's going to shake things up, as it looks like the 98, very respectable move by Calvin there. He's going to slide over, let him go right on by, and continue their battle.
He ushered the two leaders by, just said, hey, you're faster, go by. You guys are racing for the lead. I'm not contingent for anything here. I'm just trying to get a good finish. I'm just trying to finish the race, get some points, and the leaders thanked him for his service, right, to just usher them by. So, but it's still a really intense battle here for this race lead as they go through the S's here, down the hard braking zone in the turn 6. Hector not being able to shake off this 12 quite yet.
Absolutely. And Chase S. Smith, 9th place. He's back into the top 10. He's got some work cut out still. Got some trucks in front of him. Max Ford, who we may have had contact with earlier. No confirmation on that, but we did see Chase go off, and then we saw some front-end damage on Max Ford. So it could be something there. But he's got Aaron D. Cobb out in his sights now. And after that will be Max Ford and Noah Nicholson making his way back through the field.
I see them making their way through the S's, and something we haven't talked about. Oh, Max Ford off a little bit there, smoking the tires. That's going to allow the 91 to make some pressure on him side by side. Max still upset. Now here comes a 3-wide move from the 18.
Chase Smith, he's going to try to take advantage of both of their misfortunes here and slide to the inside. Oh, but it sends it in a little bit too deep, and it's still going to be 3 trucks battling for this. Now 18 and 91 side by side. 91's going to clear. That 18 is not done yet, as they are still side by side, and the 18 clears, almost clears them.
But it's going to be a crossover from the 18, maybe no, side by side out of the stadium section down here through the last couple of sections here of the track. You're going to see them side by side. Cobb, Smith, side by side contact as they go through the second to last corner.
And that's not the only battle happening right now. Right behind them, 4 trucks side by side. Henry Kalhoff's going to dive. Max Ford, Carmelo with the damage. He's trying to make something happen. They're all trying to get around this 11 truck and get some positions for themselves. At the same time, Max Ford going to take it down pit road. That extremely damaged truck seems like the right call. And lots of battling happening in this 8th through 12th section right here.
Maserati technically now back up inside the top 10-ish, but he kind of stalled out since he got here. He got to 11th and hasn't really been able to get around a lot of these other trucks here. You know, he's got the pace in this number 53 Fast Cash Racing Designs machine, but has kind of stalled out right here around this top 10 area.
Absolutely, just not really going as forward as much as he was before, and that's going to be unfortunate if he can't get that truck going or maybe find some speed to get himself securely in the top 10 or maybe even a top 5 here. But Chase S. Smith not fully out of the woods yet with this 91 truck. 2 really good-looking trucks that are just going at it right now.
Yeah, Cobb not going to try to do everything he can to at least put pressure on there, right? He might not be as quick as Chase, but if he can continue to, you know, play these mind games, make it look like he's going to drive it in super deep and make this 18 give him the line like he is right now, this battle is going to keep going.
Absolutely. 91 truck is, he's looking fierce right now. A little bit of a wiggle that's going to give Chase the back, you know. Oh, Noah Nicholson. Noah Nicholson had spun around. And that's going to allow those trucks to suck up back to the 49 truck. And now we have even more trucks involved in this battle.
Yeah, now the question is, when did some of these guys pit? We saw the 11 and Max Ford pit. I hear some pitting in from some other drivers here. So, yeah, here comes the 97. Wyatt D. Thompson down pit side. So, here comes, you know, a lot of the drivers. Here comes Trenton Wilkins down pit side. I mean, we talked about halfway. This is where we probably were going to see some drivers come down. And, indeed, some drivers down pit side here on lap 16.
Absolutely, and they're right in that fuel window about halfway through the race. And time to get some fuel. And those tires as well are going to shake things up for these drivers. But the leaders, no pitting yet from them as they pass another lapped truck. And they are side by side again. These guys are absolutely not giving up on the lead of this race as they get by the 16 of Brady Schreckengost. And 12 with the preferred line as they roll into this corner here. Can the 45 pull the switchback? He's not going to be able to, but he gets a good drive off. And the 12 is able to secure that lead. Once again, a lead change from these two. And I'm curious to see if they'll pit this time by, Christian.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it. I feel like Hector, if he wants to make the move here, he might undercut the 12 here and take advantage of those fresh Goodyear tires and try to get away here from the 12. But no, going to say that one more time. Here comes another send from the 45 here through the last corner. Going to be side by side on exit, but the 12 with a little bit of a better launch out. He'll keep the race lead here starting lap 17.
Absolutely, and that's really going to shake some things up as they head into turn 1 here. Can the 45 send it again? He's not going to. He's going to choose to stay conservative, stay behind the 12. Oh, but the 12 goes in a little deep, and that is going to allow the 45 to get side by side as they come down into turns 2, 3, and 4 here. Really shaking things up. The 12 is able to hold it as they hit the S's.
Yeah, the S says they kind of need to get single file here, so I don't know maybe if Hector just didn't have the grip in the truck or if he just said, hey, we can't go side by side through here without wrecking each other. I'm just going to let you have it for now. But Hector, another send here through the turn 6. Trevino will still hold on. Looks like everybody else behind still down pit road. Nicholas Road down pit road. White D. Thompson down coming out of pit road now. But still these two off.
Big slide.
It looks like Galazzo, yeah, a huge slide.
Big slide from the 45.
He's gonna lose a good, 9-10 truck links back to your race leader.
Absolutely. That's really going to hurt him going into the pits here. I want to stay as close as possible for this pit strategy so they can go in and go out, you know, as close. And now the 45 is going to have quite the gap, about a 1-second gap to the 12 truck. And that could really shake up things. Meanwhile, Wyatt Thompson already back in the top 5 after his pit stop. Still got 4 trucks in front of him that haven't pit. So with only 10 seconds separating Wyatt Thompson and these 4 trucks, I'm really curious to see how this is going to shake out once these trucks in front pit.
Yeah, I'm interested to see when they come down pit road. I was expecting maybe the 45 to go pit right there. I mean, he's definitely doesn't have the grip in the truck that the 12 does. And you said, well, if he passed me and he's got a, almost a second, almost now a second and a half gap, might as well take the Goodyear tires now and try to just set sail here. But no, Hector thinks he might have a little bit left here in this 45 machine to get back to Trevino.
Absolutely. Henry Kaloff and Christian Zarate are two trucks that have not hit yet, and they are just barely in front of Wyatt Thompson. So they're easily going to get passed by that number 97 truck when they do pull into the pits. Another truck that has stayed out while everybody else is pitted is Chase George, trying to make up some positions. He's back in the top 10, but that truck, I'm sure, is running on fumes right now. That number 6 Chase George machine.
Yeah, Kalhoff down pit road now. He decides to pull that 63 machine back down pit side, so I'll hand over securely the P3 spot to Christian until he needs to come down pit side here. And now I'm wondering, like, how long can you go, right? Obviously, we've seen a lot of drivers cut in half. But you see the two race leaders, you see, Zarate, they stayed out, almost 5 laps later than some of the early pitters here. How long can you go before you run out of fuel?
Now, Christian, I'm not too sure on the max. I know that their pit window opened up at that halfway point, and I'm not sure when it's really going to close as far as how long they can make these trucks stretch fuel. But road courses, you can save some fuel. You can make your truck stretch out a little bit longer, and maybe these front 3 are just trying to stretch those gaps as much as possible. But I got to tell you, Wyatt Thompson right now is running about 2 seconds faster a lap. A second and a half faster than first, and about 2 seconds faster than second on those last laps right there. And that gap is going to go away quick, and these guys still have to pit.
Yeah, and they come down pit road now. So Trevino, Collazo down pit road here on lap number 18, going to lap 19. Now the question is, I think Thompson will pass them here. He's only about, maybe not. It'll be interesting to see. He's about 30 seconds back. It's going to be close, right? To see if they can get back to Hector and to Zachary here, as they both are exiting pit road now.
Trevino
that number
with
90,
a really good pit stop.
Yeah, Trevino with a good stop. No, I don't think that 97 will get back to them, even though he was running a little bit quicker there on those fresher tires. Because here comes the rest of the field. They come up here down to S's already.
They still staying out. Almost 20 laps on the tires and fuel of this truck, and I gotta say, he is really just kind of burying himself further in the field as these fresher tire trucks start to catch him.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Christian wants to stay out here. Obviously, it's gonna be very, very difficult to get it like a full course caution. Allow him to come down pit road and mitigate the damage here. I'm surprised to see him, still out. He still has to pit, and he still isn't in the lead, right? So. And he's getting bearing, and he's getting some pressure from the 97 who already has pit, right? So when he pits, he's probably dropping outside at least the top 5, maybe even the top 10.
Absolutely. Wyatt Thompson quickly catching the 16 truck, and Nicholas Rode has kept himself in the conversation. Still top 5, still a little bit of front end damage. Looks like he might have gotten a little bit of that fixed, and he's going to be about 2 seconds behind Wyatt. And then further back, it is a pretty big gap to Trent Wilkins. So the top 5 has really separated themselves out here now and are really starting to pull away from the rest of this field.
Yeah, exactly. There's kind of a gap from the 2 leaders have a big gap back to Zarate, who needs to pit, right? And that gap will even extend even more when Zarate pits back to P3 of the inevitable Wyatt Thompson, right? And then, like you said, further back on, that'll be now the top 4 with a big gap once Zarate pits. And then, like you said, Trent Wilkins almost 15 and a half seconds behind Nicholas Rode in that 81.
53 finally turns it down pit road. I think he stretched every little bit of fuel and tire he could out of that truck. And he's certainly going to fall back now as Wyatt Thompson is going to go screaming by, as well as Nicholas Rode. And Trenton Wilkin and some of these others already coming out of the corner with some lapped traffic mixed in as well. But Chase S. Smith on the heels of Noah Nicholson and Trenton Wilkin, that 8th position. They all got fresher tires now. I'm curious to see where this battle goes from here.
And we know Chase has the pace to, get it back up and pass. Just obviously made that mistake, got a little bit of front end damage from contact with a truck, right? We don't know which one it was, but we know he's got the pace to drive up inside, maybe inside the top 5, right? Did you see now that the 49 get around the 17? The 18 will maybe try to pounce here on through the S's if the 17 makes a mistake here. And something we didn't really talk about is you got to be a little bit careful in S's now with how the off tracks work. If you even put those left sides on that white line, you get a slowdown, right? And obviously, no one wants to have slowdowns. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see, but looks like the 60 of Carmelo.
Chase S. Smith spinning in the 18 truck.
Yeah, and that's 2 wrecks here at the same time. The 60 also went around in the S's. That's Carmelo. Echeverria also went around here, but also Chase S. Smith coming into turn 6 also, gets on the power a little bit too much. Now he also loses a bunch of track position.
We saw what happened to Chase S. Smith there. Just gets on the power too much, spins around like you said, Christian. Let's go back and see if we can see what happened to this 60 truck here. We're catching the tail end of it. I mean, he is way off the track right there. Let's see if we can catch what happened to him. He had that rear end damage from his accident earlier. He slid and hit the wall. Oh, and just too faster. The S's kind of gets angle locked with the steering and goes around, unfortunately. That's really going to bury him in the field. He had a really solid start to the race, and he's just sliding backwards.
And I'll put him all the way back. Let's see. Back to P12. Yeah, was running solidly inside the top 10, all the way outside, looking in now, that top 10 position. So, yeah, obviously a mistake that he probably want to make here with 10 to go. It's going to be hard to make up those spots now. Like I said, we've approached 10 to go here at COTA, and not a whole lot of time for that 60 to make up those spots again.
Absolutely. As we look back and check in on our 2 front runners who have pulled back up to a 20-second gap on Wyatt D. Thompson. All of those gaps restored. But something that we haven't seen up until this point is the 12 Zachary Trevino has pulled 3.5 seconds on Hector Collazo. Now, I don't know if there's some tire saving at play here, but with only about 9 laps to go, this is some valuable time that is between these 2 trucks.
I can guarantee you that's not a tire saving. I just saw Hector. He was, dirt tracking it out here, trying to get some pace out of this thing. So I just think that Trevino just found a little bit more pace in his Ram truck here, and Hector just trying to hold on and hope for a mistake or something to happen to that 12 machine. Because Hector, it looks like he's still pushing to try to get back up and try to make something happen here. But right now, Trevino besting that 45 at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, the gap spreads right now up to 3.7 as the 45 kind of dances around and tries to dance through these S's here. Still not impossible. They're not too far apart. There could be some mistakes from the 12. There could be some tire that the 45 is yet to get out of it, but so far that gap seems to be spreading in the wrong direction for this 45 truck.
Yeah, unfortunately, Trevino just starting to get away here. And we know that, Hector's not going to give up till the very end, but looks like that 12 besting that number 45 machine. And, I mean, you got a little bit of lap traffic up ahead here, but not any imminent. For the next couple laps here, you see the 8 machine up ahead there, and then also the 39 at Kai Collymore just up the road here, but still a little bit of time to make up to get to those 2 lap cars.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say, for only 3 lap old tires, I mean, the 12 and the 45 of Hector Collazo are just sliding around like crazy, especially the 45. And, as you were talking, Christian, he had another big slide into that really technical section of this track, and these trucks just seem to have not really gotten the grip underneath them. Even though they are pulling away from Wyatt slowly, they haven't fully gotten that grip that we saw in the earlier parts of this race.
Now the track temp has picked up. It is now 93 degrees. So as we hear a wreck potentially in turn 1, looks like they will figure it out here. I see some smoke here off the 12, but it looks like they get it figured out here. But yeah, going back to the track here, it's picked up to 91 degrees here on the track. So obviously not ideal conditions here when it comes to track temps. It's a little bit hot. It's going to be a little bit more slick for these drivers here. As you see now, the leaders start to catch up on some lap traffic.
Absolutely. As we looked at that weather real quick, it was about 6 degrees hotter than when we started this race as overall weather goes. And so I know those drivers are starting to feel a little bit hotter on the truck. But as well, that wind, that east wind has started to die down just a little bit. And I wonder if that's changing some side force these trucks had earlier on as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely an interesting conversation to have of, how's the weather going to affect the way that these trucks drive? And we already see with the track temp picking up, it's made it a little bit harder for everybody to get the grip that they need, right? And I think that kind of plays into Trevino's wheelhouse of just trying to get the most out of the car versus, Hector, where he's used to. I feel like he always prevails when there's the most grip, right? Because you can push the truck very, very hardest that you can, right?
Yeah.
And get away with it. Versus when the track's a little bit hot and slick, you see him start to struggle just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a little bit more sliding around than we saw earlier on. And as we look to the field, though, Chase S. Smith has moved into 6th. A crazy slide from Chase S. Smith. I thought he was out of the conversation. And now he's in front of Henry Kaloff and Christian Zarate, and about 7 seconds back from the top 5 of Noah Nicholson. But what a recovery from this 18 truck.
Yeah, he's definitely, done a good job putting his head back down and getting back to work, right? Obviously, without a mistake of the guys in front, probably going to get a P6 finish. But at the end of the day, a P6 at a road course, you can't really complain about that. Obviously, I think he's had, top 5 speed. So coming home P6, you can't be too upset about yourself. Obviously, after making such a recovery from that first mistake, it's still, at the end of the day, a pretty decent points day for this 18 machine.
Absolutely. And I got to say again, what a recovery, right? To have a slide. He was fighting these guys when he had that slide. He was behind them. And to have a slide like that, and now you're in front of them just a few laps later. I don't know if Kaloff and Zarate also had moments, but still, really solid driving by this 18 truck. And as he starts to pull away from those two guys with only about 7 to go to try to work towards that top.
I'm looking at this 53 Zarate. He's got the freshest tires. I want to see if maybe these fresher tires can help get him back up inside maybe, a top 7. Maybe if he can run down Chase Smith. Obviously, Chase has shown a lot of pace tonight. Can he maybe run these guys down with the fresher tires? Looks like he's starting to reel in the 63 at Kalhoff here. I mean, he's got by far the freshest tires because he stretched this the longest out of any driver tonight.
Absolutely. 2 trucks that are also battling out, both of these with heavy damage from early in the race. Max Ford and Carmelo battling for that top 10 right now. Carmelo just on the edge of the top 10, barely hanging on with the severely damaged truck and a couple of slides to his name. And Max Ford with his damaged truck trying to work his way back into the top 10. And the man in the woods, if you will, as Max Ford experiences a lot of understeer, is Chase George, who worked his way into the top 10. We talked about him. We got him a little bit of commentator's curse. Hopefully Chase doesn't get camera shy again. And he had a bad slide, and he went to the very back of the pack, and he finds himself possibly able to go knock down 2 of these trucks and get himself a top 10.
Yeah, we'll see what, this 6 machine can do. Obviously, has a little bit of time he needs to make up to the 11 of Max Ford, and obviously Carmelo right there, in striking distance of not only Max Ford but also the 6 of Chase George. So Max, I just think right now, I think I believe is I think Carmelo got around the 11 and starting to pull away. And it looks like Max with that looks like he's got maybe some steering damage onto that truck. Just trying to hold on here, try to at least get away with a finish without having to DNF this truck.
Absolutely, and the 6 kind of starts to suck up to the rear of the 11 here, especially through that corner right there. A big jump for the 6 if he can get out of the corner clean. That's really going to help him. Joseph Enright in the 07 also looking from the back of that battle right there. As we move further forward, though, nothing much changing in the front except for the fact that Nicholas Road has reeled in the 97 Wyatt Thompson just barely from a 6-second gap, or excuse me, a 7-second gap, and now looking at a 4.5-second gap.
And he's got time as we approach five to go here. I mean, Coda's pretty long track, and he's slowly but surely ran back down this. Well, at least trying to run down this number 91. He does have a truck in between him of the 13, but still has a little bit of time to make up here. But just got to hit his marks here. He might be able to make a battle for this P3 position and get that last podium spot.
Absolutely. It's worth noting, fastest truck on the track last lap was the number.
The 97 around.
Oh, big slide from Wyatt Thompson, and that's going to allow the 81 around, just like we were talking about. Was that contact with a lap truck?
That was the contact with the 76.
Let's see if we can get a replay on here and see what was going on here. Is he's going to enter the corner? Pretty hot. But in control in the 76 with the horrible rejoin.
Yeah, that's horrible. I think maybe Max Ford and the 6 of Chase George might have gotten to do it as well. So
I'm not too sure who
yeah,
that
yeah.
truck is.
The 6 and the 11 tingle here on the hard braking zone. The 6 just fences the 11 here out of the S's.
We try to get back live. Lots of stuff going on this track right now.
So Max Forward probably going to DNF now as he has a smoking number 11 Tundra here, just trying to limp it back to pit road.
See if we can go back and see the contact between the 6 and the 11. And it was quite a ways back. Almost side by side coming out of the S's there. Yeah, just a big shove, and that is a really hard hit for an already very damaged number 11 truck.
Max Ford is coming down pit road now. Probably going to have to park that machine there. I just see smoking. I do see a meatball on that machine, so probably race-ending damage there for Max Ford. Obviously, we heard over the radio Chase George apologizing. Didn't mean to do that. Just looked like drove it in too deep and it's kind of used up the 11 there. But yeah, a lot of chaos here in these last 5 laps here. You know, P3 getting taken out, and then obviously the 11 and the 6 getting together there out of the S's.
And chaos that we missed as well is Trenton Wilkin is 6 laps down. I mean, completely out of the race and parked in pit road. And so I'm not too sure what happened to the 17 truck. He was running in the conversation for a while, and now he's just not in the conversation at all, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't see anything on my timing and scoring that shows that he wrecked it all. Maybe he just had something come up and just had to park the machine, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't see any crashing from this number 17 machine. So, but yeah, definitely unfortunate. We saw Trenton up inside the top 5 and the top 10 conversation. Unfortunately, he's going to finish all the way back in 23rd. Well, now 7 laps down, but those laps downs will continue to build up here as the race goes on.
Absolutely. And, you know, really unfortunate for Wyatt Thompson. A really poor rejoin by this lapped 76 truck. You know, you just, when you have leaders coming and Wyatt was completely within his right on his line, you just can't be rejoining the track like that. It's just a really unfortunate mistake that is going to cost Wyatt a top 3 finish here.
And that was Cody Banta in the number 76. It's the 55 in the sim, which is why we're having trouble finding who this was. But Cody Banta, lap car, obviously just overshot turn 1, came down, and fortunately made contact with the number 97. And remember that, I mean, Wyatt's doing that as a part-time ride for someone else, right? This isn't his truck. Mm-hmm. So that's got to put even more salt in the wound because, you know, he's trying to race for someone else's, you know, championship, right? And for him to get taken out in kind of a pretty selfish way, I guess, if you want to call it. It's got to be pretty annoying to see that happen. But still a P4 finish. Obviously, we know that 97 probably wanted an interview tonight, but going to come home P4 most likely unless, you know, Nicholas Road makes a mistake. He's still, you know, only 4.5 seconds back. Let's see if he can maybe run this truck down here within the next 2 laps. But we're going to be an uphill battle for that number 97 machine.
Absolutely. Just really not, you know, the way that he wanted to end these last few laps and put a staple on this race with a top 3, of course, and really unfortunate. But Zachary Torino has he laps Chase George now and continues to just spread the gap to Hector Collazo, 6.2 seconds now, and he has really just found some speed in that number 12 Dodge that Hector has not been able to find in that 45.
Yeah, obviously, really good job extending this points gap. I mean, not this points gap, this lead here. Since they came down pit road, but once again, you never know. Anything can happen here. We just saw P3 get wrecked. Obviously, you know, anything can happen here in these last couple laps here. Obviously, I pray that doesn't happen. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing up here in the booth, but
yeah, I hope not. No commentators curse over here. And
Yeah, I'm gonna
speaking,
knock on wood 4 times here for that 12th machine,
yeah.
but yeah.
And speaking of a man that we thought was on the move forward, Chase S. Smith is back to 8th, back behind Zarate and Kaloff. I don't know if he had another incident or he had that another slide, but back behind these two trucks is a lot of chaos has unfolded these last few laps.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting late in the race. These drivers are probably getting a little agitated, probably a little bit, fatigued. Obviously, 30 laps here at Coda is pretty demanding, especially in these trucks where you really have to be on top of it. You can't really just, be lethargic with these trucks. You kind of have to be up on the wheel the whole time. It's easy to make mistakes here at the end of the race where, you know, you see, the laps counting down, and you just are. Some of these drivers are probably just trying to ride around, and when you ride around, sometimes that's when you make those mistakes, and potentially that's what happened to the 18 of Chase Smith. As you see him back in P8, as you see up there, Noah Nicholson running out the top 5 here, kind of on his own island of his own here. He's got a 14-second gap to the car in front, and a little bit, almost a 5-second gap to the car behind. So a good, clean run from the 49 here. He's going to get a top 5 finish for himself if he keeps it up.
Absolutely, and that's what I was talking about earlier in the race. I was like, there's going to be a guy who has a really good performance off of consistency, off of not spinning out that truck, and Noah Nicholson's going to be that guy. But we're on the final lap officially. Zachary Trevino going to bring it home with no mistakes, of course, with an 8-second gap right now. He's just got to finish this lap, stay out of trouble with these lap trucks, and he'll put a Ram in victory lane for the first time, I think, in the UIS. Unless I missed something last week in Michigan while I was out. But a Ram in victory lane is a real possibility tonight.
I mean, if I'm this 12, I'm going to back off and just stay behind the lap cars. You got an 8-second gap. Do not give yourself an opportunity to get caught up in something out of your own doing. But not going to matter. As you see him around the final set of corners here, going through this kind of carousel area here. Gonna need just a couple more corners, and he's gonna get his first win of the season here in Season 3.
Absolutely. And as you said, a points truck. He really needed this win over Hector Collazo. And he is going to secure it. He's out of this last corner. Got some traffic he has to get around. And the number 12 of Zachary Trevino wins in Circuit of the Americas and the Send It Motors UIS Truck Series. A great drive from Zachary Trevino to end off an incredible race. As Hector Collazo had a moment out of the last turn. Very slow off of the corner. But he's got plenty of time to recover. And he will do a burnout as he crosses the line in second place.
He's trying to show off for the fans at home. Obviously, he didn't get a win, but it's still a very, very good performance out of Hector. We said, when he showed up to the track tonight, it was going to be a top, 2, top 1 driver. And obviously comes home P2. Just could not best that number 12 machine at Trevino. Congratulations to Zachary. Obviously, his first win of the season here from Coda. Has shown some speed. It showed some speed last week. Just could not get it done. And then obviously Daytona. I think no one could get it done with how many cautions we had. But obviously we saw Tyler Holmes take it home there in week 1. But Zachary Trevino takes the point here from Coda.
Absolutely. And he'll do a hell of a celebration slide around the track as the top 5 has all crossed the line and stayed the same as we predicted. But maybe a congrats from the 6 of Chase George there. But an incredible drive by Zachary Trevino. I mean, we saw them battling and battling and battling, and I really did think for a long time that it could have been either of their races to win. But in those ending stages, the 12 was just able to find that consistent pace as the track got hotter, as the tires wore, and he was able to just maintain and then extend that gap in the last 10 laps. And just an incredible drive and incredible consistency out of the 12 truck.
Yeah, it was really after that pit stop that 12 was able to find that extra gear and just slowly get away from Hector. Not a lot of people are going to say. I'll still say like an 8-second gap. Obviously, you'll see 25-second gap back, but because he made that mistake, just being silly and doing burnouts and stuff.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people can say that you put 8 seconds on Hector Collazo. So a very, very phenomenal run by the 12. Obviously, it was going to be between those two drivers. The 12 best, the 45 of Collazo here from Coda.
Absolutely incredible race. And We are going to step away for just a second, and when we come back, it'll be time to interview your top 3 drivers. Obviously, Zachary Trevino alongside Hector Colazo and Nicholas Rode secures that top 3 in the 81 truck. Good run for him. We'll be back in just a second.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we're back as Trevino continues to burn it down on the number 12 truck. He's going to burn those tires right off that thing. And it is time to start with some interviews here, as I think Christian is going to bring in our first interview of the night.
Hey, Nicholas Rode, it's Christian and Riley Maxwell up here in the HVTV booth. You got a copy?
Hi.
Well, a P3 finish for you in that 81 machine. Obviously, snuck your way through that, contact between the 97 and the 76 there at the end there, getting a P3 finish for yourself there in that 81 machine. Just walk us through your race. Walk us through what got you up inside this top 3 finishing position tonight.
I was just trying to keep the car under control and just not wreck it and keep it clean. Basically, it's impossible to pass here. The car was really bad to drive, and I feel bad for Wyatt because he got knocked out of P3 by a lap car, and that's why I was able to get P3. But other than that, I was just trying to not wreck the car every lap.
Yeah, obviously it looked like everybody was slipping and sliding around, especially after that, halfway, pit stop that you guys did. The track just continued to get more slick and more hard to drive. But, walk us through, you talked about, the 97, making contact, getting contact made by him by a lap car. How difficult was it to, manage the lap traffic, try to, get around people in a safe manner tonight?
For the most part, they just kind of had to move out of the way, or else they would just. Well, I don't want to sound like but you just kind of had to wait for them to kind of either move or just make a pass. But either way, it's gonna slow you down. So you just had to hope they would move for you and then go by them.
Yeah, obviously it looked like, it was just more of a battle of attrition of just waiting until they get out of the way or just finding yourself in a good spot to get around them. But obviously a podium's position here from Coda, obviously a good momentum boost for you and that whole 81 team. What's the outlook for these next couple of weeks?
Well, I'm only here for the road courses, so next one is I think Watkins Glen, so I'll be there, and hopefully I can score another podium, or maybe even win.
Well, definitely still a good finish for you in this 81 team, nonetheless, here from Coda. As we look forward to, what you can do from Watkins Glen and the next, when we do go to that next road course. But still, congratulations on a podium finish for you and this whole 81 team. Before we let you go, anybody you want to thank, appreciate or shout out for tonight's finish here from Coda?
I want to thank Aiden Coparubio for giving me this car and letting me drive for his team.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time up here in the booth and wish you good luck with your next campaign. It sounds like from Watkins Glen, so we look forward to seeing you down here in the HVTV booth some more.
All right, thank you.
All righty, next up, your second place finisher. We're gonna bring in Hector Colazo. Hector, do you have a copy in the booth?
Yep.
Welcome to the booth, my friend. You were Christian's pick to win this thing, and just fell a little bit short to Trevino as the laps wore down. Talk us through your race and this P2 finish and what you think you needed to get to that first place.
I mean, in the first run, me and Zach we were just running ideal laps, and then eventually, once this track started to rubber in, I just couldn't control the car under braking, and it would bog like every time into that second hairpin, and then I would just kill my rear tires, and then coming into pit road, I got a slowdown on the second to final corner, and then thankfully Zach was pitting. So once I pitted with him, the slowdown went away, and then that second run is just I had nothing. Like the car just didn't break, and I just had nothing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the trucks, you could see it even from the booth as the handling kind of just went away as the race went on, and like you said, as that track wore in. What do you think that the track and also lap traffic? How do you think those two things really played a factor in the battles tonight?
Um, I'm seeing a lot of clips now of incidents that people were going through. This was a apparently there was 400 X's overall
Oh my
in this
gosh.
race. So yeah, things got a little dicey. So yeah, definitely had a lot of effect. Some lapped cars were fine. Some others were a little bit of a pain. But I mean, anyway, by the time I was getting affected, Zach was what like I think 10 seconds ahead, so didn't really affect me. But yeah, it just sucks. I wish we never thought about coming to this track because I hate this track. Any other track I'd be fine, but it's just we just got unlucky here. But I'll take a P2 finish. Wish it was P1, but we just gotta suffice for P2.
Absolutely. I mean, well, for hitting this track, you did a really good job. You ran a really good race, especially in the beginning. And we're proud of you here in the booth, and we knew you were going to be a contender for that first or second position anyway. Is there anybody that you'd like to thank before we send you out of here?
Um, yeah, probably just only Zach, to be honest. Just keeping it clean the whole race and having a fun battle until he decided to start sweating his ass off. So that kind of sucks.
No worries. Well, we thank you for joining us in the booth, and hopefully we see you again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Hector Colazo for his interview.
I think we have Zachary Trevino down here in the booth ready for his stuff as well. Hey, Zach, it's Christian and Riley up here in the HPTV booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, first of all, congratulations. Your first win of the season here in Season 3 for the Ascendant Motorsports Truck Series. Obviously, it was going to be between you and the 45 of Hector. You guys, swapped the lead back and forth kind of that first half of the race, and then you started to get away there in that right in the laps coming up to that green flag pit stops, and then after that, just looked like you just could find another gear in that number 12 machine. Walk us through your race tonight and walk us through, the battle with that 45 all race.
Yeah, I mean, this is my second win. I won last week too at Michigan, but I was just better on braking. We were like pretty much together the whole first like stint of the race. That was really tough to pass him. We were just switching back and forth, but I found out, I stayed behind him. Found out where he was making mistakes. Found out I was faster in the hairpins, and I was way better under braking. So that's where I would attack or turn one, because turn one I was way later on brakes than he was. But other than that, it was pretty close. I hope y'all enjoyed watching that battle, because I was on my feet the whole time. I almost spun a couple times pushing.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun watching you guys swap the lead back and forth side by side in public places you guys shouldn't be side by side. It was definitely a lot of fun, at least up here in the booth for me and Riley to call and see you guys, duke it out, and just try to, get everything you could out of these trucks. But walk us through, you got around Hector right before that green flag pit stop, and then after that, he never got back to you. I mean, you gapped him by it'll officially say 25 seconds, but he was, doing burnouts on the start finish line across the line. But we'll give it 9 second gap after you guys came out of pit road. What was the difference, at least for you, that you think gave you that advantage to gap Hector after him being so close through that first half of the race?
I mean, that pit stop I had was perfect. I mean, I don't think I could have gone any like faster through pits, because that was pretty like sketchy. That was close. So pits definitely helped. And after that, after he was, a while back, I was able to just find lines, and I didn't have to go defensive anymore or worry about him like coming up on me, so I was just able to drive off.
We definitely did a phenomenal job, managing the lead there once you got in, and obviously drove away to what, almost a 9-10 second gap to Hector Clazo, which is, it's hard to do in its own right, but obviously a really, really good run for you in this whole 12 team, as it is your second win. As obviously I was in the booth last week and still can remember, but congratulations to you and this whole 12 team. Obviously, there'll be a big bump in the points for you. Obviously, not the Daytona you wanted, but going back to back here, what's the mindset for these next couple weeks?
I don't know what race is next, but hopefully it's a track that requires some pretty decent skill. So if that's the case, then we're gonna try to go for another win. But that's the mindset. We just gotta keep this number 12 truck rolling.
Well, that's always the great mindset to have here coming into the rolling weeks. Is like I said, you should be pretty well up in the points now. Going back to back here from Michigan and then here from Circuit the Americas. But once again, Zachary, congratulations on another win here in season 3. Before we let you go, anybody you want to thank, appreciate, or shout out for tonight's win here at Coda?
Yeah, I want to thank Precision Speed Solutions for having me as a house driver and sponsoring me. I think Hector, he's a good friend of mine. I've learned a lot of road course stuff from him over the past year or two I've known him. I want to thank Chase George, all Sky High Racing, all of them. I don't think Tyler was here today, but thank him. Just thank everyone on the team, and thank y'all for streaming.
We definitely appreciate your time up in the HVT booth, and we appreciate the kind words up here in the booth as well. But once again, congratulations, Zach, on another win, and we look to talk to you some more up here in the HVT booth.
Yeah, appreciate it. Me too.
Just like that, the interviews are done here at Coda and the Senate Motors UIS Truck Series. Christian, it was some really good racing today, but there was really no question who the two contenders were after we started getting to those first few laps, and they certainly made it a battle for quite a lot of that race.
Yeah, obviously that first half was definitely really entertaining to watch between the 45 and and the 12, excuse me. They just couldn't get away from each other, right? Hector took the initial lead there as he got the pole here from Coda and got away, and then Zach, got and made the pass, and then Hector went and passed him back, and it was just back and forth, side by side racing for the race lead. And then obviously we saw the 12 start to just figure out something a little bit more than Hector could do, and he just started to take off. And then after that pit stop, it was just kind of no contest. He was going to come home victorious tonight without any collisions or any help from anybody else, like we saw with the fourth place driver. But definitely was entertaining to see, the race for the lead. Obviously, a lot of good battles throughout the whole race. We had a good battle, really, outside of the top 4, and then obviously some battles through 7th, 8th, 9th. It just seemed like some of those drivers just couldn't get away from each other the whole race.
Absolutely. I mean, there was just some problems for some of these guys all over. I know lap traffic, like you said, really made it harder on some of these guys to make it through the field and keep their positions. But I think a lot of it came down to what we were talking about, is that consistency, is that making it happen every single lap, and not allowing mistakes and slides and missed braking zones and all that type of stuff to happen. And you saw a little bit of that from all types of drivers, especially in that kind of 6th on back section. But ultimately turned out to be a good race and some good finishes for a lot of guys who might have needed it points wise, and also some disappointing finishes for some of our drivers here.
And definitely, you look back at, Max Ford, Aiden Curate, Trenton Wilkins, Gavin Smith, he finishes 4 laps down. Some drivers who you expected to run up front, not having the nights that they wanted there, finishing outside the top 20. And obviously some drivers who you didn't expect to, maybe be up here inside the top 7, top 8 here at these road courses. You look at Henry Kalhoff, Noah Nicholson, Chase George with almost a top 10. He comes home P11. Carmelo rebounds to a top 10. So definitely some drivers you expected to be up front gonna not have the race they want, and some drivers who snuck their way up there that we didn't expect to.
Absolutely. And as we look at this list right here, some really big gaps through this field. Obviously Hector's was a lot shorter, and he was kind of giving a show to the fans. But your top 10, Zach Trevino, Hector Collazo, Nicholas Rode, Wyatt Thompson with that mistake, unfortunately comes away 4th. Noah Nicholson securing that a very nice top 5 after a consistent race. Kristen Zarate, literally went to the back at the beginning. He's able to secure not only a top 10, but a pretty nice top 10 there in 6th. Chase S. Smith, man, what a battle he put on. He moved around so much, really trying to fight his way into the top 5, was there at one point, and ultimately comes away 8th after a couple of slides. Aaron D. Cobb, not another truck that put on a hell of a fight at different moments. He comes away 9th. And Carmelo, a truck that had not one, but 2 major slides, one resulting in a lot of rear end damage. He'll come away in 10th and securing that top 10.
Yeah, looking further outside the top 10, you see Chase George. Everybody else laps down here, but Chase George coming home with a pretty solid run. Obviously, I feel like Chase ran around where he should here, back there in 11th. But you see Joseph Enright, Patricia Casado, Kai Collymore, Travis Prather, Brady Schruckengost, and Ryan Van Epps, all 1 lap down there, 11th through 17th. And you see 2 laps down, Nolan Kelly, Calvin Harvey, Cody Banta. We saw him make contact with the 4th place driver tonight of Wyatt D. Thompson. He finishes back there, P20, 3 laps down.
Absolutely, and working your way through these last couple of drivers here. Gavin Smith finishes 4 laps down after he had a really strong run and really showed that he could battle with some of these guys at a road course. I mean, there are some guys that he was absolutely keeping up with and contending with, but unfortunately clipping that tire barrier, he's going to finish 4 laps down. And Max Ford, a whole struggle bus of a day for him. Damage left and right from early on. He had damage 3 laps in. He acquired more front end damage later in the race, and then eventually getting contact with Chase George, and that's going to put him in the 22nd position, also 4 laps down. And some drivers that didn't finish here. You got Aiden Corritt in that 38 truck. He went out early, came back on track, tried to run some laps, and went out again. Just not the performance he wanted out of that 38 truck. Trenton Wilkin, we're not too sure still what happened to him, but he was having a strong race. He ends up going out and finishing 24th. And Derek Turner, who went out very early on and was never able to return in that number 7 truck.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see, some people come out and show up and show out and just kind of survive almost, right? You look at someone like Cal Hoff and someone like Nicholson who just kind of just finished where they did because they just kept the truck clean. And then, it was also cool to see some of these drivers like, Zarate have to drive their way up to the field, getting a P6 finish. You see the 18 have a decent run for himself back up to P8. It's cool to see, all the comers and goers. And obviously it sucks to see some of the goers, some of your probably championship contenders. But, that's just the way some of these road courses are. You get caught up in stuff out of your doing and have to pack it up just a little bit early than you expect.
Absolutely. But still, a lot of these guys came to a road course, and I know road courses aren't everyone's favorites, and they still put on a good show. They put on a good race, and they made the best with what they had. And I think for some guys like Noah Nicholson, the best that they had ended up working out pretty well for them. And so overall, it's just some good racing here at COTA. And I think we can walk away from this one and get ready for next week.
Yeah, very interested to see what comes in the next week. Obviously, week 4. This is the kind of the time in the season where you're starting to figure out who your fast guys are and who's going to be consistently up front, right? Obviously, the road course is kind of something that you can kind of almost put it in that Daytona kind of category where you're going to have guys who normally are going to be up front at these ovals who don't really race very well on road courses. But coming into week 4, this is where you're going to start to see, who your potential championship contenders are going to be later in the season.
Absolutely. I mean, and Trevino wishing for a track that has skill. Well, he's going to get his prayers answered there. As these trucks, they have a bye week next week. So they get some rest there, and then it's till Milwaukee. And Milwaukee, a very unforgiving oval there. Not a lot of banking. You're dealing with different types of surfaces there in the corner, different grip levels from the top lane to the bottom lane. So really interested to see those trucks cut some laps around Milwaukee and see who comes up top there.
Obviously going to be definitely interesting to see how Milwaukee shakes out there. As we're off next week, as it's Memorial Day week. So a happy early Memorial Day to everybody, and special thanks to everybody who puts in the time there to make what we do here possible, right? So to all of our troops, fighting overseas, or just being a part of making sure everything comes around here. We appreciate everybody that, and happy early Memorial Day here from High Velocity TV crew up here in the booth.
Absolutely. With that being said, we are going to send it home, ladies and gentlemen. Any last messages from you, Christian, before we wish the people goodbye?
No, I just we appreciate everybody for coming out and watching tonight's broadcast. If you wouldn't mind, dropping a like, and potentially, if you liked the racing tonight, it's potentially subscribe if that's something you'd like to do, and then just continue to share the network with friends and family. Obviously, pretty young network, trying to grow and be the best we can here. But we appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate Riley for having me up in the booth. Obviously, no Gavin Austin tonight, and we pray that Gavin can start to feel a little better. Just feeling under the weather tonight here on Monday. So stepped in for Gavin, and had a great time calling the race here, week 3 from Coda. But hopefully we'll have Gavin back up here with Riley, back up here in the HVTV booth in the next 2 weeks here for Milwaukee.
Absolutely, Gavin. Come back soon, man. We miss you, and we hope you feel better soon. But thank you to everybody for tuning in, like Christian said, and we'll see you not next week, but the week after. Have a good Memorial Day. We'll see you at Milwaukee. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.